Hi students, welcome to session 4 of Reproduction in Plants. Students, in the previous session we studied about natural methods and artificial methods of vegetative reproduction, and in today's session we are going to study about sexual reproduction. So we are through with asexual reproduction and their types. Now let us start with this interesting session of sexual reproduction in plants. Yes students, sexual reproduction. Students, in plants, sexual reproduction is carried out only in flowering plants, where flowers are the reproductive organs of a plant. So remember students that sexual reproduction involves creation of a new individual, which is produced by the combining features or genes from two parents. Sexual reproduction in plants occurs through the medium of flowers. So, the flower structure is actually made up of pollen, producing male part known as stamen and female part called pistil that contains the ovary and eggs. So, pollination is the process that starts the sexual reproducing mechanism. We will study about pollination in the coming classes, in the coming sessions. So, here the petals play a vital role in attracting insects to the flowers that carry pollen from one plant to another. Where wind pollination occurs where flowers do not have petals. So pollination basically results in production of seeds, and almost all plants are reproduced through this mechanism. So students, the plants in which the sex organs are carried within the flowers and the seeds are enclosed in a fruit are basically termed as angiosperms. So students, angiosperms are commonly known as flowering plants. So this is a new term for you which you have to keep in mind. So the flowering plants basically reproduce by sexual reproduction. This means that two sexes means male and female are involved in reproduction in flowering plants. Like human beings, plants also have male and female sex organs, though they are different in form from the human beings. But the sex organs or the reproductive organs of a plant are in its flower. So shortly I can say that flowers contain the sexual reproductive organs of a plant. Right? So in most of the plants, the same flower contains the male organ as well as the female organ. In other words, the majority of plants are bisexual, having the male and female reproductive organs in the same plant or the same flower. In fact, the reproductive part of higher plants is the flower. So, the function of a flower is to make male and female gametes and to ensure that fertilization will take place to make new seeds for the reproduction of plant. And that is why we say that sexual reproduction is the most common method of reproduction in flowering plants. So from all this discussion, we conclude that flowers are for sexual reproduction in plants. A flower makes both male and female gametes needed for sexual reproduction in plants. Right? So as we discussed that a flower is the reproductive organ of a plant. So we need to understand the organs or the parts of a flower. So let us now see what is present in the flower and what is the structure of the flower. Yes students, you can see the beautiful diagram over here. So students, we have to clearly understand the male and female organs of this flower. This is a complete flower. So I'm going to label it. This one, a beautiful green-like structure which you can see here, is an anther, and this is its filament. So there are many anther and filament in a flower, and basically we call the structure of anther and filament as, we name it as stamen, which is the male reproductive part of a plant, right? And these are petals. Now let us see what are the female organs of a flower. Here you can see the tip portion. This tip portion is termed as stigma. We call it as stigma. This tube-like structure to which the stigma is attached is called style. And this one here you can see a round-like structure, a beautiful structure protected by the petals, is the ovary. And together the stigma, style and ovary are termed as pistil. So pistil is the female reproductive part and stamen is the male reproductive part. So these are the male and female organs in a complete flower. Right, students? So students, usually a flower contains both male and female reproductive cells called gametes in one flower, and such flowers are also called complete or bisexual flowers. So complete flowers means it contains both male and female organs, or they are also termed as bisexual because it consists of two sexes, both the sexes, male and female sexes. Whereas when flowers have either male gametes or female gametes, they are called incomplete or unisexual flowers. Unisexual means it will consist of either of the sexes. Means either it will be the male organs in a flower or the female organs in a flower. So it is unisexual, means only one sex. So where there is only one sex, it is incomplete. When flowers are either male gametes or female gametes, they are called incomplete flowers. So such type of flower is found in corn and papaya plants. Many other plants too. These are only few examples which we are discussing here. So students, complete flowers have all the four parts, that is sepals, petals, stamens and pistils, which we studied right now. Right? So what are basically stamens and pistils? Let us see. Yes, stamens are considered as the male organs in a complete flower. They bear the anthers that contain pollen grains, and pollen grains have male gametes in them. So students, stamen is like the little stalks with swollen tops just inside the ring of the petals in a flower. Stamen is the male reproductive organ of the plant, and stamen produces pollen grains. So the stamen is made up of two parts, a filament and an anther, which we saw right now. So the stalk of stamen is called filament and the swollen top of stamen is called anther. So remember students that stamen is made up of two parts, filament and anther. The stalk of stamen is called filament, while the swollen top of stamen is called anther. So it is actually the anther of a stamen which makes the pollen grains and stores them. Where the pollen grains appear to be yellow powder-like substance to us, that pollen grains contain the male gametes or the male sex cells of the plant. So it is clear from this that the male gametes of a plant are made in the anther of the stamen, in the swollen top or swollen part of the stamen. Another point is to be noted here is that a flower usually it has a number of stamens in it. Usual number means there are that much number with which this sexual reproduction can occur. Other than this, there are pistils, which are considered to be female organs in a complete flower. So students, the pistil is divided into stigma, style and ovary, which we saw in the diagram. So here the ovary contains the female gametes called ovules. What do we call it as? Yes, we call it as ovules. So in sexual reproduction, seeds are formed and new plants develop from these seeds. So basically, the pistil functions as the female organ in a complete flower, and it is very helpful in sexual reproduction. So students, in the center of a flower, there is a flask-shaped organ called as pistil. This is the female reproductive organ of a plant, or sometimes it is also referred to as carpel. Right? So do not get confused between these two terms, because it is also called as carpel and it is also called pistil. Right? So carpel or pistil is the female reproductive organ of a plant. A pistil is made up of three parts: stigma, style and ovary. The top part of the pistil is called stigma, and stigma is for receiving the pollen grains from the anther of stamen during pollination. So we will study about pollination in the coming sessions. Stigma is actually sticky so that pollen can stick to it from the anther of stamen, and the middle part of the pistil is called style, to which this stigma is attached. So style is a tube which connects stigma to the ovary. So remember that this acts like a tube which connects stigma to ovary. So the swollen part at the bottom of the pistil is called ovary, and the ovary makes ovules. As we discussed, that ovary contains the female gametes called ovules. So basically ovary makes ovules and it stores them, and ovules contain the female gametes or the female sex cells of the plant. So students, there are usually many ovules in the ovary, but each ovule contains only some of the female gametes of the plant, and the female gamete of the plant which is present inside the ovule is called ovum, or it is called an egg. So it is clear from this that female gametes of a plant are made in the ovary of the pistil. Right? So Another point to be noted here is that the female organ called pistil is surrounded by a number of male organs called stamens in the flower, as we saw in the structure of the flower. So the flowers which contain only one sex or either stamen or pistil are called unisexual flowers. The flowers of papaya and watermelon plants are unisexual flowers. On the other hand, the flowers which contain both the sex organs, that is stamens as well as pistils, are called bisexual flowers. So the flowers of hibiscus, mustard, etc. plants are bisexual flowers. They consist of both male and female sexes. So remember, students, that the seed of the plant is formed when the male gamete present in the pollen grain unites with the female gamete which is present in the ovule. And this happens specially in two steps: pollination and fertilization. Right, students? So students, let us see some more points about this sexual reproduction. Yes, mature plants flower, and the flower after pollination and fertilization becomes a fruit. So fruits may have one or more seeds inside them, after which the germination occurs, and then finally a seed is formed into a new plant. So in this way, sexual reproduction occurs in plant. Now besides stamens and pistils, as we discussed, that there are petals. So students, the colorful parts of a flower are called petals, and the petals lie inside the sepals. Remember this. There are petals, and petals lie inside the sepals. Sepals are the green leaf-like structure in the outermost circle of a flower, and all the sepals taken together are called calyx. So the function of sepals or calyx is to protect the flower in its initial stages when it is in the form of bud, while the petals are the colorful parts of a flower, and they lie inside the sepals. So all the petals taken together are called corolla. So remember these terms, students: corolla and calyx. The petals are usually scented, means they are perfumed. So the function of petals is to attract insects for pollination and to protect the reproductive organs which are at the center of the flower. Right? So these are the main parts of a flower. So students, the sexual reproduction in plants take place in various ways. In some steps, like the male organ of a flower called a stamen, it makes the male gametes of the plant, and these male gametes are present in the pollen grains. Afterwards, the female organ of a flower called pistil makes the female gametes of the plant, and these female gametes are present in ovules. So the female gametes present in ovules are called ovum or egg. So the male gametes which are present in the pollen grains fertilize the female gametes or egg cells present in the ovules, and the fertilized egg cells, they grow within ovules and they become seeds afterwards. And the seeds finally produce new plants on germination under suitable conditions of water, warmth, air and light, etc. Right? So in this way, the sexual reproduction occurs. So we are through with the male and female organs in a complete flower, and we came to know something about the sexual reproduction which occurs in this reproductive part of a plant. Right? So we will study about pollination in the next session. I hope you liked today's session. So we will meet in the next session with the new topic of the sexual reproduction. Till then, keep learning and enjoy.